everybody. I am going to call the meeting of the Public Health and Safety Committee to order at 11:11. Ladies and gentlemen,
Might be 6:30.
I am calling the meeting of the Public Health and Safety Committee to order at 11:11 a.m. Roll call, please.
Howell is absent with notice. Gingell?
Here.
Gershenson?
Here.
Jackson?
Here.
Gilbert is absent with notice. Nelson?
Here.
Cavell?
Here.
Joliet?
Here.
Luce?
Here.
Quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item is approving the minutes from July 20th, July 11th, and August 3rd. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Jackson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our minutes are approved. The next item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion by Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Gershenson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our agenda is approved. We've arrived at our first public comment. Generally, it's for items on the agenda. I'm going to make an exception to allow guests to speak at this time. So you will have 3 minutes, and you would come to the front of the table and introduce yourself and the community you're from. And I have a handy dandy timer that will keep track of what you're saying.
Okay, wonderful. Brought my boss here with me today. Great to be with you all this morning. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you about gun safety here in Oakland County. I'm Father Chris Yaw. I'm the rector of St. David's Episcopal Church on 12 Mile in Southfield. And we are a congregation that is interested in making our community safer, specifically when it comes to gun safety. In 2022, using data obtained under the Freedom of Information Act, we tabulated 123 firearm deaths in Oakland County that year. 35 were homicides, 88 were, that's over 70%, were suicides. 5 of those deaths were children. In October of that year, our church was one of 4 sites chosen to host a gun buyback in our county. On Saturday, October 23rd, 2022, in cooperation with Chief Alvin Barron and the Southfield Police Department and the Lathrop Village Police Department, along with those officers, we collected 117 guns. More than half were handguns. These were all collected in the first hour of the buyback as we ran out of our $5,000 in gift cards, leaving a 1-mile lineup of cars with guns in front of our church. There are nearly 1.3 million people in Oakland County. There are an estimated 1.7 million guns. We believe that's too many, and that buying guns back from a willing public is one of the many strategies that can help. Our church wants to continue to buy back guns for 3 reasons. 1, to decrease suicides. The rate of suicide by gun in homes that have a firearm present is 8 times higher for men, 37 times higher for women. 2, the leading cause of death in children today is firearms. And 3, the majority of crimes committed with a gun in the U.S. is with a stolen weapon. Data regarding the efficacy of gun buybacks in these 3 categories is far from comprehensive or conclusive, but some studies have suggested potential benefits in these specific areas, such as firearm suicides, accidental shootings, and limiting access to firearms for individuals at risk. I have some citations if you need them. I'm here because our congregation wants to continue to host gun buybacks, but we are being thwarted because our dedicated sheriff has told me he doesn't have the resources necessary to process guns we collect regarding to ballistics. When our congregation tried to organize such an event for June of this past year, we were unable to do so because every one of our 117 guns collected 8 months previously were still in the property rooms at Southfield and Lathrop Village police stations. We were told that these property rooms were full of guns and unable to take others. I'm here to ask for a solution, perhaps more funding for the sheriff to specifically expand capacity at the ballistics lab to accommodate guns the public freely wants to relinquish. The statistics are pretty compelling. Owning a gun will get you in more trouble than it will get you out of. So we want to continue with these buybacks and encourage people to take guns that they're not using to a police station. The police will take it. It can save a life. I'm happy to answer your questions. I think I've got 3 seconds left.
You did a great job, thank you.
Thank you.
And I agree, that's something I would like to see done again, so we could, thank you. Do we need to add this on our agenda to bring it back up for discussion? Or,
I think
yeah,
that would be great.
so perhaps for our next agenda item, and then we would have more information specifically and perhaps monies to deal with.
That'd be
So
great.
that gives us 2 weeks to gather more information and put it on our agenda.
Okay, well, I'm more than happy to help in any way.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public discussion? All right, this public discussion is closed. We move on to communications. There are 9 items under communications. 4 are reports. 5 are grant applications. The grant applications are from our housing counseling, victims' rights, narcotics enforcement, Children's Village Nutrition Program, and the Friend of the Court grant. The reports are the medical marijuana oversight report, 2 from shelter and pet adoption reports from June and July, and 1 from Oakland Community Health Network Crisis Intervention Training Pilot Program quarterly report. Are there any questions on the communications? All right, do you prompt the vote or is it a roll call? Oh, we need a motion to accept communications. I have a motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support from Commissioner Nelson. Any questions or comments on communications? All right, the vote is prompted. All right, communications has been approved, thank you. We are moving on to our circuit court recommendation from Friend of the Court. And I will say that our agenda looks long, but most are grant acceptance from this point on. So from Friend of the Court, an acceptance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Cooperative Reimbursement Program. A motion by Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Gershenson. And we have here Suzanne Hollier to talk about this item.
Thank you. This is our main funding contract. It provides funding for the Friend of the Court operations. It's not different than it's been in the past. It's a 5-year contract, and they often will extend it for 2 additional years after. The only item I would bring to your attention, mainly just for your knowledge going forward, is the state has a big program that manages all of these grants. And this year, the grant came out. It was the same as always. I put it into review. And then an amendment came out before it even came out of our review process, requiring an annual security audit of our systems. We already have in this contract a requirement for an audit once every 3 years. So we were perplexed. The State Office of Child Support was perplexed. I started that revision through the review process, but the Friends of the Court statewide kind of banded together and pushed back so hard that we got a 3rd contract that does not have the annual review. However, just for your knowledge, apparently this is now standard language in contracts with the state. So you might wanna keep an eye out for that and ask departments how they're gonna manage that. Our county manages our once every 3-year audit requirement that we've had for now going on about 5 years very well. And in the last round of it, the state actually paid for the auditors. In the prior iteration, we paid for the auditors. And I understand that the once every year requirement that DHHS is putting in its boilerplate now is to be paid by the local municipality. So when we did it and we paid for it, it was statewide really difficult for the Friends of the Court because everyone was hiring different vendors and the implementation was so different in each county that we were able to go back to the State Office of Child Support and they agreed that the next one, which was our most recent one, would be handled by one central auditor. So I just bring that to your attention because you're gonna probably be getting a lot of these grants from the state and it's gonna be an expense that, it came so late in our process, we wouldn't have had budget to pay for an annual audit because we just were notified in July of the requirement. So it's not in my contract, I just thought it would be something interesting that you might wanna have on your radar going forward.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this item? Commissioner Cavell?
You said security, you mean like cybersecurity?
Yes, yes, I do mean cybersecurity, and they, what they will do is go in and attach to our network and to try to detect any vulnerabilities. And often what they find is some machine somewhere missed an update, and then they'll tell us this machine needs updates, and they'll review our protocols so that we can be assured that that never happens in the future. So I find it a very useful audit, actually. None of us want vulnerabilities, you know? So, yeah, it's been helpful in the past 2 iterations.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, prompt the vote, please.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next item is a district court recommendation from the 52nd District Court's fiscal year 2024 contract positions creation. Who would like to make a motion? I have a motion by Commissioner Joliet, support from Commissioner Gersonson. And we have Alexandra Black here to talk about this item. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I'm Alexandra Black. I'm the court administrator in Novi, and this is Brett Derry, court administrator in Clarkston. We're here to request the creation of these contract positions. During the budget hearings, we had requested from administration some IT support positions. We were denied that request. We requested it because we have the implementation of e-filing, the iPad project. We've got our video courtrooms, and we're gonna go to a document management system. We have one IT liaison person who's for all 4 district courts, and as you guys know, we're in the 4 corners of the county, so one person for the 4 corners of the county is very difficult to manage all of our IT needs as it is, but then adding in these projects, he just can't do it. So we had requested 3 more positions, so we had one in each district court. Administration did reach back out to us, actually Kyle Jen, working with Kyle Jen, he suggested that we request these contract positions, which we're here to request now. The total with the equipment that we need for them shows here, I think $371,862. So we're requesting these positions, these contract positions be created for 1 year, and then we can look into revisiting this a year from now.
Thank you. Comments or questions regarding this item? Commissioner Gersonson?
So there's no plan to sustain these positions. This is like a one-time fix to
This is a
see how
one-
it goes.
This is a
and
one
then-
time, we were advised, because we originally submitted the MR asking for 3 years. E-filing isn't like a one and done type of situation, right? So once it's implemented, we're supposed to go live in December, but we've got 10 district court judges and we've got, I don't know how many magistrates, but we have one operating in each courthouse every day. And then all of our personnel, everybody has to be trained on it. It was sort of, we've been waiting for a long time for e-filing, and suddenly we were contacted and they said, hey, would you like to be next? And we're absolutely, we want to serve the public much more efficiently. So we asked for 3 years, knowing that we need to implement it, but then we also need to be able to function. And additionally, we need the positions anyway, regardless of these projects, right? we've been using more and more technology since COVID hit, obviously, to try to service the public and do things remotely when we can. And so we asked for the 3 years. We were told that they would support the 1 year for now, and we're prepared to see how it goes. And I would be shocked if we didn't come back and ask again.
Are you aware of any grants in the universe that you could possibly pursue?
No, in fact, we are in constant contact with other district courts that implemented e-filing. And since it's a mandate, we're not aware of any grants or any other courts that have gotten grant money for that.
Okay, well, keep us apprised of.
Yes, we will, you know we will.
Will the IT personnel be working on-site or off-site?
On-site. We really don't have the ability to have people work off-site still. I mean, until we're completely e-filing civil and on the criminal side, all of our employees have to work in person. And because our IT needs happen like live time, we need the IT person on-site.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cavell?
So these 3 positions are for implementing the e-filing service. And then after the e-filing service is implemented, because their contract, they'll go away.
After a year,
Well,
yeah, for
right,
the
but
year, yeah.
they'll come back and ask
Correct.
for more money
Right,
for the
of
real
course.
duration. But then the goal isn't for this to kind of bleed into just having 4 IT people for the 52nd court. And like these people's roles or these people's line items will change so that there's 4 IT people? Or is that kind of what you were trying to do here?
That's what we were trying to do, eventually get to 4, well, we have 1 full-time, so 3 more full-time positions. So there's 1 IT person in each division, because right now, for instance, the one that we have is housed in Novi, but he will travel, constantly if somebody's got an issue. But the problem is, he can't magically teleport to Troy when they're having an issue with their Polycom, which happens a lot, or the iPads at the jail, or, those situations where we can't connect. He's having to try to troubleshoot with a court administrator or a lower level clerk on the phone to try to fix that, with judges that are pretty frustrated, and the people, the patrons are pretty frustrated. So we need to have somebody on site for these issues. I mean, there isn't a department here, I think, that doesn't have an IT person probably. I mean, you guys have an IT person, right? So that you're not just floundering, trying to pretend like that's your expertise. So that's what we need as well.
Is this, so how long do you think it will actually take to implement the e-filing? If you have 1 year of funding, but it will take?
So our go live for all of our divisions is the end of December. Yep, so right now we're going through all the trainings you can go through without it actually being live, right? And then once it goes live, then we're gonna deal with all the issues of it's new to even our patrons, right? So they're gonna need IT support. We need IT support. Our judges definitely need IT support. I know, not to bash my 3, but I can tell you right now that they're not excited, but they know, it's a necessary evil. I mean, they're gonna have to get used to it. So that takes time, obviously, anytime you're learning a new software system. So this next year of having these positions, if we get approved here and through finance tomorrow, we wanna start the process immediately of trying to get those positions filled, which, as you know, takes time. So we're running against the clock because go live is in December. These contract positions these aren't gonna be people that are already part of the district court or really know. So we're gonna teach them about district court, teach them about civil cases, catch them up on the training that we've done. So we're a little behind, we're quite behind. But we were thinking when we put through the request for the IT positions back in, I think, May, I'm gonna be honest, I really thought it would go through because they were necessary, but they didn't, so here we are.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Genzel?
Yeah, just a thought for you. So in my opinion, being in the information business, what I'm hearing the administration say is like, hey, look, we're not gonna put FTEs in, but we know you need some help, use some contractors, see how it goes, and we'll make a call from there. which is pretty normal, and a lot of times when you got implementation, it's not the best. But the one thing I would say is in your contract with whatever contract house you're using, you probably should make sure you've got the ability to convert those contractors without penalty or anything of that nature. So that if you get 3 people and they continue on, you wanna bring them on as an FTE, you don't get charged, or the contract house doesn't say, hey, no, you can't do that.
Great, thank you for the suggestion. Because we have to utilize whatever IT uses now, so
Yep.
we will look at all that, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, prompt the vote, please.
With 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're back for finance tomorrow, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Our next item is a Prosecutor's Office recommendation and acceptance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the fiscal year 2024 to 2026 Title Cooperative Reimbursement Program. Who would like to make, I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Cavell. And we have, do we have somebody? Oh,
Collins.
thank you. By video, thank you, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My name is Kelly Collins. I'm the Chief of the Juvenile Justice Division here at the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. Along with me, Betsy Haig is appearing also virtually. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you. For those of you who may not be familiar, juvenile justice is responsible for all cases involving juveniles under the age of 18. And for purposes of today's discussion, that includes the child protection matters that we get in our court system, and they come before the Family Division of the Circuit Court by virtue of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Michigan law requires that the prosecutor's office serve as legal consultant to the department. And since 2009, we've contracted with the state under this reimbursement contract so that we serve the department in this capacity, and they reimburse the county for that legal representation. Our current contract is expiring at the end of this month, September 30th, and we have before us a new proposed contract which covers the same actions by our office and on behalf of the department that it used to, this time for a period of 3 years at an hourly rate for the assistant prosecutors of $175 per hour. This proposed contract will cover the same types of work that we have been doing since we've begun contracting with the state, including petition review, trainings, all litigation at every stage, document review, cost of transcripts, things like that. On average, this arrangement brings in approximately $250,000 per year to our county for our work. I'm asking today that we continue this relationship with the approval of this new reimbursement contract. It will continue that same financial compensation relationship with the department until September 30th of 2026 for a total of $900,000. I guess it's important to note that without the contract, our statutory obligation would be to continue with these services and to serve the state and the children of the state in these same capacities, but without that type of reimbursement. So this approval does not impact the previously adopted budgets, and it does not request any additional personnel or creation of positions within my office. So I'm asking for approval for that reimbursement contract.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Regarding this item? Commissioner Cavell?
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
This is for abuse and neglect cases?
It is, yes. The child abuse and neglect cases that come before us or come to us by way of the Department of Health and Human Services, yes.
And so 2 questions then. One, you said it brings in this contract that's reimbursable is $250K a year, but you're asking for $300K a year now. What caused that increase or change?
Well, the contract itself is for up to $900,000. So that is what the state is prepared to reimburse the county. I just thought based on prior years and how the cost of the work, it has brought in approximately 250. It could mean more this go around, and they've allowed for, the 900,000 to cover that 3-year period. So roughly $300,000 of our services would be reimbursed if we were to utilize that per year.
And my second question is, when we were doing budget hearings, we had people come in talking about abuse and neglect defense. So I understand that's the other side of the table from you, but
Correct.
can you just talk about how that looks and how that feels from your vantage point? Because they were talking about, for example, lawyers getting, it's technically $110 an hour for their work, but you might need 3 lawyers, so people are making like $30 an hour. I mean, do you have anything you can teach us about like the actual on-the-ground context of what it's like to work in these cases?
Well, I can tell you that each parent that is considered a respondent that has been accused of some sort of abuse or neglect is entitled to a court-appointed attorney, as well as any of the children that are involved in that case. They get what's called an appointed legal guardian ad litem. So while I may not be able to speak to the other side of the coin as far as what it takes for that representation, they are considered court-appointed counsel. I don't know what their schedule is with regard to how much they get paid and for what services. I can tell you that from my perspective, the safety of these children and the protection of these children is of the utmost importance. And when it comes to being in court and when it gets to the stage where litigation is necessary, those attorneys do have to work very hard to stay abreast of what's going on in the homes, what's going on for the children if they are placed in foster care or a separate placement outside of their parental home. That requires travel and visits on a regular basis. So I don't know what the request may have been, but it does appear that those court-appointed counsel are not compensated to the same level as our criminal court-appointed counsel who are defending adults charged with crimes. Candidly, I would like to see that change, and I would like to see them be compensated appropriately and along the same lines as those persons. But that's outside of this contract or this reimbursement contract, but that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other questions? All right, prompt the vote, please.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item is an emergency management recommendation from Emergency Management and Homeland Security and acceptance from the state of Michigan for the fiscal year 2022 Homeland Security Grant Program. I have a motion by Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Nelson, and Robert Seeley is here to present.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here with Angie Jans from my office. So today we have an acceptance of the annual Homeland Security Grant Program. This grant program started in 2006. This year, the total amount for the grant is $791,232. That includes 4 personnel, 2 that work out of my office and 2 that work at the Detroit Southeastern Michigan Intelligence and Information Center in Southfield. This is a decrease of $21,256 from last year, and it's steadily being decreased. This grant comes from FEMA, passes through the state and goes to the Urban Area Strategic Initiative, which is the 6 counties in the city of Detroit. And it gets divided among us based on our population and some other factors. So this year, like I said, our portion is $791,232.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Gershenson?
So the decrease, is that based on population?
The decrease is based on the amount of money FEMA has available for this program nationwide.
So do you see this becoming a problem if it keeps
It'll continue fluctuating. It's fluctuated around the same amount. I think last year it went up by about $10,000. This year it went down $20,000. At the beginning in 2006, this grant was about $5 million. So it's steadily decreased over the years. I believe it's gonna stay around the same funding level for the next several years. We're still waiting to see what FEMA has in store for this grant. They may be changing it after the 2025 grant cycle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, prompt the vote, please.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Next two items are public services recommendation, both from Children's Village. The first, an approval of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services fiscal year 2024 Children's Village Shelter Care. And the second, acceptance from the Michigan Department of Education for the 2023-24 Children's Village Child Nutrition Program Grant Program. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Joliet. And we have Heather Calcaterra here to talk about both items. Do you want to?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I also have Lori Strong here with me today.
Lori.
So Children's Village operates Mandy's Place, which is a shelter foster care program for abused and neglected youths, also known as an emergency shelter or an SHFC program. It's the only program on our campus for DHHS foster care kids, and the state of Michigan requires agencies to have a contract to serve that population. Children's Village has had an SHFC contract with the state for the last several years, and our current contract is set to expire on the 30th of this month. So we have a new contract for you today with no noteworthy changes. DHHS currently pays Children's Village a per diem of $853.72 per youth per day. That will continue. We are required to maintain availability for 10 contracted beds. And the state also provides a bed guarantee for 8 beds, meaning if the census drops below 8, we're guaranteed payment for that number. Not likely to happen with our current population, but a nice guarantee to have in the event that it does take place. The estimated contract value is $10 million. And so today I'm asking you to approve a new 3-year shelter foster care contract that begins on 10/1/2023 with the option to extend for 2 years in 2026.
Thank you. Questions regarding the first item? All right, do you want to talk about then the child nutrition grant program?
Sure. So Children's Village has applied for and been awarded 2 USDA Child Nutrition Program grants, specifically the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program and the Child and Adult Care Food Program grant. We've been applying for these grants and receiving funding from MDE for more than a decade. So this is an annual request for us. The amount of this year's grant request is expected to be approximately $218,000. And I say approximately because the meal counts vary. And so today I'm asking you to approve acceptance of these grants.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this grant? Commissioner Cavell?
Just kind of general questions, but Heather, in the new state budget, there will be community interventions, child care fund, 75-25 split, right? And you've mentioned this to us before.
Yes.
I would love to hear you tell PHNS a couple things about that or what you hope to see, or at the chair of the group's pleasure, give us like a 5-minute presentation maybe in the future about that, because it sounds like a new thing that could be really helpful to our kids.
Absolutely. We're still trying to learn more about what that means. Right now, children that are moved from home and placed in residential facilities like ours, there's a 50% reimbursement from the Child Care Fund. Effective on 10/1, there's going to be a 75% reimbursement for what is known as either in-home or community-based programs. And so the whole focus behind that is to incentivize keeping kids in the home and in the community while also giving them the support and the services that they need. So we're still trying to learn more about what that's going to look like, but we're very excited about that change.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the state's philosophy, which trickles down to all agencies, is the least restrictive placement or the least restrictive service pretty much in any mental health setting.
Absolutely.
Any other questions regarding these two items? All right, prompt the vote, please.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next items are from the Sheriff's Office. There are 9 items. 2 are grant acceptances. 6 are agreements with district courts, and 1 is agreement with Oakland Community Health Network regarding the CoResponder program. So we will take these in sections or in groups. So the first 2 are grant acceptances from the Stanton Foundation for the Fallen K-9 program and from the U.S. Department of Justice for the fiscal year 2023 Burn Discretionary Community Project. Do you have a motion for those 2 items? Motion by Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Joliet. And we have our common fixtures here. Under Sheriff and Guy up here to talk.
Okay, so the first one is an acceptance from the Stanton Foundation for the Fallen K-9 program. Unfortunately, we had a K-9 pass away on duty back in 2021. And so we've been working with the foundation to replace, well, we've replaced that animal, but to get reimbursement for the replacement for that K-9.
Thank you.
So it's a grant acceptance, there's no match, it's $12,500.
Thank you.
The next one is actually something we've been working on since 2022. It's actually from Representative Slotkin's office. So we had submitted a proposal, like I said, back in 2022. This gives us $410,000 for primarily equipment for the training center. So it's there's a long list of different things for officer wellness, defensive tactics and MAT training, firearms scenario-based training, that sort of thing. So we're very excited. We knew it was coming. We had to submit a list of equipment to them, but we finally got the acceptance and we're excited to bring it here and excited to move forward with the project.
Thank you. Questions about this grant acceptance? Commissioner Cavell?
So in the documents, it says the grant period is till December 22 to December 23. So because you're just receiving the money, that'll change your timeline, or you've used other monies to implement these trainings?
No, so actually we did purchase the mats, but we're able to go, since it was retroactive to December of 2022. That's the only thing that we've done. So we'll do a full court press and take the list of items that have been approved for purchase, and we will start as soon as the new fiscal year starts and purchasing, because we're at year end right now, so purchasing, bidding and everything is closed. So as soon as that reopens on October 1st, then we'll get going with this list.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, we prompt the vote on those 2 items.
A and B.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item is the 2024-2026 interlocal agreement with Oakland Community Health Network for the CoResponder Team program. So we'll take that. I have a motion by Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Cavell. So we're familiar with this program, but anything you'd like to add about it?
Just that the pilot has been extremely successful, so we still have the co-responder that's assigned to a team in Pontiac and goes out on calls. So I think you recall we've done this, Commissioner Cavell kind of facilitated this, initiated it a couple years ago. So we did a pilot, we did a 1-year renewal, and now we're moving forward with a 3-year agreement with OCHN, so.
Yep. Thank you. And then we have our Tri-County Summit upcoming this Friday with almost 200 people registered. And Dana Lassenby from Oakland Community Health Network will be, this is one of the items she may be talking about.
Oh, great.
Any comments on this item?
This is great.
All right, prompt the vote, please.
Jackson. You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next 6 items from the Sheriff's Office are agreement with the district courts, the 43rd District Court in Ferndale, the 43rd District Court Hazel Park Division, Madison Heights Division, 46th Court in Southfield, 47th Court in Farmington Hills, and 48th Court in Bloomfield Hills. Would I have a motion by Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Gershenson? Okay, I
so-
know this is a regular item
Yes.
also.
Yeah, so basically, these are all renewals. I can go through each one individually really quick, just let you know. So they're all continuing the positions they have. So in general, there's a sergeant position that oversees all of our district court operations and supervises all the positions. And then each one of these agreements pays a portion of that sergeant's salary. And then we have a rate for all of the part-timers. So this is just, the agreements are primarily for part-timers. Ferndale is continuing 4 part-time positions, 1,000 hours each. Hazel Park is continuing 3 part-time, 1,000 hours, and 1 part-time 440-hour position. Madison Heights has 2 PTNE 1,000 hours. Southfield has 4 PTNE 1,000-hour positions. Farmington Hills has 2 PTNE 1,000 hours and 1 500-hour position. Bloomfield Hills has 3 PTNE 1,000 hours, and that's it. So like I said, they're all just renewals for security, and we developed rates with the county executive team, and it incorporates all of the items that we've talked about adding to the rates going forward.
Thank you. Any questions regarding these agreements? All right, prompt the vote, please.
And items D through I.
Correct.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that concludes our business with the Sheriff's Department. Thank you. Our next item is from Health and Human Services, acceptance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the 2023 Pontiac Integrated Urgent Care Agreement. I would like to make a motion. A motion by Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Joliet. We have Leanne Stafford and a team here.
Yes, I brought the team with me. This is definitely an amazing partner, what I'm gonna say, success when this is over. So, 2 years ago, we went to the state about a very unique opportunity to introduce what we're gonna call an urgent care, integrated urgent care that includes both primary care and behavioral health under one roof. And even gonna take it a step further, that once that individual comes in, is triaged and maybe cared for, whether it's behavioral health and primary care, right? Each person will be looked at with both. We'll also be linking them to services and resources and following back up. So a lot of times at an urgent care, right, they come in, you treat them, and they're basically off on the street to do whatever happens. This, we're hoping, will have that extra link around it that will also follow up to ensure that they receive the services that they needed. Our goal is to connect, provide some kind of triage for what they're there for, but connect them to, do they need a PCP, right? Do they need more intensive behavioral health services, and maybe they're connected right at the point. So our goal here is to add that additional piece that they don't get in a traditional urgent care. This is a $5 million grant that was actually provided to us by MDHHS. We are still in the operational mode, right? So we know we're receiving the money. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. You know Dana, right? She's a regular here, but this operational team that's here from Honor Community Health, OCHN, and then the Health Division has really tried to pull some operational ideas together. And so our goal would be to do 2 subrecipient agreements with Honor Community Health, looking at really the building space, right, working on the primary care side of things, and then obviously OCHN, our partner in behavioral health, looking at the behavioral health side. We still are looking for a location. We are gonna be in Pontiac, but we're looking at 2 to 3 different opportunities right now, so we'll be able to provide that back to you all once we have those answers. And still, what that kickoff date would be, our goal would be fall of next year that we'd be able to open. We can open sooner than that, that's great, but that would be our goal right now. So I should let everyone probably introduce themselves really quick, if you don't mind, and then we can take questions.
Howdy y'all, good to see many of you that I may know, but Scott Stewart again from Honor Community Health, Director of Strategic Initiatives, and been with the organization for about 8 years, so I have seen you all in various capacities, but good to see you all again.
Good morning, Dana Lassenby from Oakland Community Health Network. Thank you for all your support. This is the only way it happens. And just to add on to what Leanne said, this is a very unique concept. There are not many in the state nor across the country. So this is innovative and new for us, and we're excited. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see your faces. I'm Kate Guzman, the Administrator of Medical Services from the Health Division. I'm very, very excited to be partnered with Scott and Adam and working with Leanne and Dana and Deb from Honor on this really exciting project.
And Adam Genevieve, Chief of Operations at OCHN.
And then OLSA is also a partner at the table, fairly new, just brought in, but they'll be working with us obviously around the resources piece and how they fit into that. So they'll be part of this whole team, so.
Thank you, it is exciting. I mean, now I'm curious to where the location is. It's gonna be on a bus line or people able to travel there. Commissioner Gershenson?
So exciting, and remember that new transformational piece of property we just acquired that in Pontiac that might be suitable. We're very excited about it.
We will definitely bring regular updates, right, to you all as things continue to progress.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is exciting. As a behavioral health care provider myself, it is so critical that we continue to work toward improving that access to not just even primary care, but your mental behavioral health services. So I'm really excited to see where this transpires and goes. So,
Commissioner Cavell?
Will this be coming to finance tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's a better place to ask, but again, right, super happy for y'all, but understanding what the ongoing costs might be, how that would be split, and if there's been any leveraged funding or what funding could be leveraged in the future. Be good to hear tomorrow.
If, in case you all want to know, we're still looking sustainability, right? So we know we have this grant. We think that this will get us obviously the first 2-3 years, right? And then looking at SAMHSA grants, right? This is very unique. We feel like once we get this operational, the opportunities for grants will be there. We are looking, we don't know what the payer mix is, right? That may show up at our doors, but there will be no wrong door, right? So the finance or the money or where it gets billed happens at the end, right? Everybody gets that same service when they walk in the door. So really looking at opportunities for grants to sustain this as well moving forward, so.
Thank you. This morning in our previous committee, we just talked about grant office, so they might be of help to you if that comes to fruition. Anything else on this item? Oh, we might have saved the best for last. Commissioner Jackson?
I just want to say this is really going to be a help to our community. And that's the bottom line with all that we're here around the table to do. I just want to make a comment about Leanne. You're losing some of that southern music in your voice.
24 years, that'll do it, right?
Yes. Still always lovely to see.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Will you prompt the vote?
Seven ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. That was our last scheduled item on the agenda. We move to public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment to this committee for 3 minutes? All right, public comment is closed and our meeting is adjourned at 11:59 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Well done, Madam Chair.